Like, I am definitely not locked in. You saw it. It's fine. You guys are going.
We good.
She lives in the in-law. This is a Rango, right? You're true. Maybe by toward the end of their I know.
Excuse me.
Theirs, you know, the approved. They do their forms.
They see stuff line up.
It's done well. Like, I don't know if she's she did say she was just talking to things. It actually is today. So
Yeah. Well,
She has been in
It doesn't take that long. I watched things with her. It's strange.
Yeah, I agree.
it's just a big long meeting.
Big long.
Call it a meeting. What's that 6-hour meeting?
Oh my God.
I'll make signals, but.
Like.
Angry, but it's meeting for 6 hours.
Just to finish them. See that in charge. No, just these people.
Let's just close it.
Stabby.
Dinner time, and not really supposed to.
Should have brought so much.
We're
gonna be thanks.
Between the last meeting, we wrapped up our meeting. Came back at 4. We went over there and it just kind of break. You know? Hey, there you go. Like, what else you got for me? I know. Kid, made me dinner. Yeah, I know.
Thanks for being here.
Except for okay. Happy to see you.
Well, I do know that there's that, and I, for like the first after most things. So we'll see. Consideration of it.
Yeah.
Just makes it.
Next.
Yeah.
I know your last name.
Well, just keep that with Sarah.
You're all looking at that.
We will get it. We will get it to her. No problem. And that is on me.
Yeah.
In the meeting. So,
I was so serious with the most.
I know. So like, let's get it over. Especially on the Tuesday.
You're amazing.
I know. I know. Just- So we're at the stop part of that, which is good, right? And then where are you? Setting it
Yeah.
right?
I
I don't like it. I was reading. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not doing this.
Maybe we're here.
So you don't have to run the filter.
Not all year. No, I took everything off, all my chart, put all that stuff in there. It just put the stuff in the big.
Well, you know, I got right back. Well, I mean,
Big
here
thing,
at the
put
beginning.
stuff in there and it has.
But all of that was saved. Those are just negative.
Sponge things that's
Oh my God. Between 7 and 7:30.
They do not.
And I think you have.
Yeah.
You make
And I got like, two, or like 3 balloon yellow kind of things that I sometimes put in there so that it
I mean,
can,
that's the. Yeah.
and,
Right.
yeah.
I have to do that on a daily. We have one of those in text easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like. It's like.
Oh, yeah.
Frames.
See, mine's a frame.
Well, I thought it was 3 minutes.
I had this up and down.
You got 3 minutes.
I'm just gonna leave it up there. Are there shots? You know, and the-
But there's very little. They're not.
Like up to the top. I sit down and 3 minutes. Something every time.
Yeah.
And then the regulars, I actually didn't get twice.
I'm never rolled close to 6 tenths.
You know, so-
And. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Just cover it with good. We put our play to 3.
Oh, there you go. Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen covers that are structured.
Yeah. Yeah. When I got the belt around the. Oh, the.
I know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Growing
Right.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
What town is
Yeah, we got water yesterday.
Yeah.
Poison.
So it's close to things.
15 minutes. Yeah. A little bit in.
Yeah.
And then we can fly.
Yes.
And then I got scared last night by the house. Well, I'm pretty sure. One's food and the other one.
Yeah. He said that's what all the Californians would get.
So he's gonna go to Eagle Meridian, she called well, and then Boise, she's not here.
And I went out last night at 4 in the morning. I was so scared. It was fine.
I would be the same exact way.
Thinking like the last, like,
Yeah, I got
worst possible, you know?
Is it the rabbit?
But,
Looking at different colleges.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
starting that process. It's like, hey, what are we making? What are we looking for?
You know, it's good.
Yeah, it was like half hour later, I was like, I don't even know which ones I looked at or what. I was like,
What's the
Well, I want them to have Spanish.
I think that the worst.
I want them to keep taking Spanish. Because I think that's gonna be valuable. Just because
And I was like, well,
I have
what if I
Spanish,
don't
Spanish
Spanish
and literature.
I was like,
Give me
no,
some. Brilliant. Then try to talk.
I'm not gonna. Can I write it down?
So. I think that's a good way to push it. So we want to. You have their work there. So by getting politics, both of them. I want to do. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah.
Well, mine's was on.
So yeah. They're all
Okay. They were there were a lot of compliments that I made smaller. Yeah.
They'll be in 8 or 9 somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I said that's, yeah, that's.
Yes.
Surround. Yeah. That's TK. Yeah. Chelsea.
Did your daughter?
She was, yeah. I think that she was fine. Yeah. Think about it. Yeah. I wish she would, but. That's fun.
It's like there's things that look.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm really good, just.
That's mostly 2 years in the next one.
You can cheat. But I am ready to share. I know. You know, you're foreign exchange students who they would not.
Terrible, right? Almost, but it's.
Look what bag I have it in. So you get a rock. I want to read that. I should get a rock.
I, yeah.
So we did. I think it'll be a good crutch, but you know, like don't believe or something. But I really see the value of both. Freckle Max showed this. they are supposed to have a contribution, right?
Hold on a second. Let me get this back up here. Answer right now.
What?
Just give us one more moment where the Wi-Fi isn't connecting like it's supposed to. Oh, connected. Well, Town of Windsor guest. Yes. Yeah, I'm going to start with the paper. So if we have, if I'm missing something on my printed out one, somebody get me. All righty, I'd like to welcome everybody to our school board meeting this evening. Hey, wait a minute. Do we have a? Oh, I see 3 minutes up there on the clock, and I was like going, is that for me or is that for? Look at everyone saying yes.
Everyone agrees.
Even with 3 minutes. It's okay. I'm good. I'm good. I got this all I need. This is going to be a quick meeting tonight. So, let's see here. Reconvening, got a report out of closed session. Jeremy?
Yes, you have a report out,
Yes,
Rich.
I do. So closed session, item 1.5, the district initiated proceedings related to the employment status of, do I mention the name?
You could just say employee.
Okay, employee following concerns regarding the ability to maintain qualifications required for the position under Article 11, Section 3, T of the California School Employee Association, CSE Collective Bargaining Agreement. Following discussion with the district, employee and CSEA, the parties reached a mutual agreement upon resignation agreement and release. On the agreement, employee will voluntarily resign his employment with the district effective May 29th, 2026, and then the parties will fully resolve all matters related to this employment. The agreement was a $7,000 plus benefits through September 31st, 2026 separation agreement. Okay.
You vote on that?
Yeah, and that was-
We already did, so this is just the report out.
yeah, it's a report. Is there any public comment on this issue? Seeing none, we'll bring it back in. Okay, and I don't believe that there's anything else that we need to report out.
There is one more
Oh.
report out for interdistrict transfers.
That's right, I'm sorry, thank you. Where is that? Here we go. So let me get this one. So in regard to case number 2026-02, the board voted to approve the appeal 4-0 with one absent. And then cases number 2026-03, 04, 05, and 06 collectively, the appeals were denied. And that was also by a vote of 4-0 and with one abstention. I'm sorry, one absent, not abstention. Thank you. Is there any, and that was already voted on there, any comment from the audience? Nope. All righty. Thank you. So that's the conclusion of reporting out of closed session. Yep, we're going to do that right now. Jen, can you have the roll call, please?
Rich Carnation,
Here?
Bill Adam,
Here.
Stephanie Amar. Here. Paul Caguno.
Here.
Rebecca Herman. Here.
All righty, now we're going to go to 3.1, flag salute by Bill Adams.
Stand and join me. The flag's in the corner. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By the way, just FYI, Trustee Lopez will be here in just a few minutes. She's coming up from Rona Park and keeping it right there. She'll be here shortly. Any adjustments to the agenda?
Rich, can I actually make one recommendation?
Sure.
The novel adoptions, because Trustee Lopez is not here yet, would it make sense to push that further down? Because it's the second item.
Sure. We can push it right to the very
I
end.
think it'd be
if you
good to
want.
have all 5 of you present. Is that reasonable, board? Ultimately, it's your decision.
Yep. So what number is that, Jeremy? 5.2?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's 5.2. I mean, should we just make it the last item?
Yeah, so we'll just take that. Yeah, just bump it back to, sorry, paper. Yeah, make it 5.9. And then Windsor Creek would be 5.10? Okay, because, yep, so this will go 5.10, 5.9, is the old 5.2. Okay, good idea. Wait, 9. All right, any other adjustments or anybody? All righty, let me get back over to here. So we've got now student board member Rebecca Herman report.
We're actually
I
gonna
think they call this swan song.
skip over this because it's the end of the year, so we don't have a presentation, and Natalie isn't here, so I'm just gonna be listening today.
We have a presentation for you, though.
Oh,
There you go.
a presentation. Thank you. Open it now?
Of course.
Okay. Oh my gosh, because I'm a Bobcat now. I've graduated from Jaguar to Bobcat. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Just remember, we were your first cat, though.
Well, technically, first I was an eagle.
Yeah, but our cat ate your eagle. All right, moving on to 3.4, public comment on non-agendized items. If there's any comments from the public on any non-agendized items, please come on up. Seeing none, we will move on to 3.5, superintendent report, district scorecard presentation by Superintendent Decker.
My report's commandeered by our principals, so they're going to come up and give our final scorecard presentations.
All righty.
All right, good evening, board. It is that time of year again for our final scorecard presentation. And then I will say for the last time, I will be doing the Maddie Washburn presentation. So we were able to break it down by kindergarten, and we broke out early literacy. And you can see that that is definitely going to be an area that will Mr. Gilbertson will be focusing on with his team next year. So just as a reminder, fall baseline, these are how the students came to us. And then you have to maintain that percentage over the year as the test becomes increasingly harder. So if the score goes down, that means that students did not maintain grade level during that time. But that also means that if the score goes up, not only did we maintain those students, but we also increased some students through some of our intervention programs. So you will see some big gains with first grade and early literacy and STAR reading. We see some moderate gains with second grade early literacy and STAR reading. And then some really great gains in first and second grade math.
Thank you. Good evening. Let's see. All right, so as Brian explained, seeing numbers that are similar is a good thing. We're maintaining. So for our RenStar ELA for all grades, holding steady at 45%. Math, 35, slight dip from 37, but still in that same range of kids maintaining their same level. Youth Truth is funny. You see that big 95% there in April. I attribute that to the teachers being able to break out that question one by one versus the Youth Truth, which has 400 questions on it, right? So when they're asked and their teacher can explain a little bit more, they're like, oh yes, my teacher does expect me to work hard and keep going when things are tough. Professional development from teachers held steady too, about 63, and then we didn't do the parent one at the end of the year. Our subgroups, our multilingual learners, again, maintained 10% in English language arts, our Hispanic students in ELA 32%, and in math 7%. One thing to keep in mind is that we did RFIP 12 students. So 12 students came out of that mix. So if they were still in that, those scores would be higher, but they come out of that and go into the other database. Just a quick visual for you. Spring scores versus winter scores. And so if you go up and down the graph, that is achievement. And if you go across the graph, that is typical growth, low growth, or high growth. So between winter and spring, you can see there's higher achievement and higher growth both for math. And for language arts, continued typical to high growth from winter to spring. All right, some things of interest for next year is we are implementing a homework policy that is just read 20 minutes and math flashcards, okay? Just for automaticity. We're implementing an additional 30 minutes each week for PLT. We've carved out some time during the morning. So each week, there'll be an additional 30 minutes for each grade level. Lots of ongoing staff development for the new math curriculum, which I think you're going to hear a little bit about later. And then dedicating a lot of release time for curriculum mapping and aligning of the new math curriculum.
Shannon, could you go back one just to the growth?
Sure can.
I just want to make sure. I know you guys have seen these bubble maps. Yes, please. I know you guys have seen these, but if you go to the one before for math.
Yeah.
I think you'll really see that you see the typical growth is in the middle. If we can get students up higher to start at Brooks, the Brooks teachers have shown they can maintain and even push them beyond where they were. So I think our investment in Maddie Washburn with instructional aids and really, really making Maddie Washburn a focus for early intervention, it shows that it's needed based on this data, right? We're just starting low and Brooks is getting them and they're doing some good work, but we've got to get these kids ready for Brooks a little bit better. And it's not a hit on teachers, that's just general, right? We have to make sure our kids are coming out high so Brooks can move them along.
All right. Let me get you to the right spot. All right. Do you have a question? Oh, I thought someone had a question. Thank you. Of course.
Good afternoon. I am going to just go through the different scorecards for each one of the languages and then math. And then at the end, I'm going to kind of highlight 5 different areas from this year. This is our Spanish data. Almost all across, we see a big increase from the baseline to the spring semester. This is English, ELA. This is math. and this is results from our Youth Truth, Culture, Engagement, and Academic Challenge from our students in 3568. Our staff and our families. So overall, we have 5 highlights from all of these presentation. Spanish literacy growth is strong across most of grade levels, with points moving up to a plus 14 gains. ELA performance shows positive growth in elementary grades, grade 3, 4, and 5th. Significant math gains in the upper grades in 6th, 7th, and 8th. We have more work to do, which is coming with the new adoption and strategies for next year with our new math curriculum in grades 3 to 5. Student voice indicates a strong and improvement in school culture, which is due to the hard work of the past 3 years. Our students feel connected, challenged, and engaged. And family partnerships continue to strengthen with moving up to numbers as 80% of parents moving from 78 to the 80s. So overall, our scorecard really it's one of growth. I'm very proud of all the work that my teams have been doing. Growth and coherence. It shows the hard work of the past 3 years. And for next year, really, we are not looking into any new initiatives. We are looking into going deeper into this work, using data very intentionally, and keep changing those instructional practices in the classes, being more into those classes, working with those PLTs, and moving those numbers even higher. Thank you. I'm really proud of everything that has been happening, and it shows. So I'm very proud of all the teams and all the work from everybody. Thank you.
Middle school. Yay! We might be the middle, but we still get excited. Okay, there we are. Good evening, everybody. If you look at our scorecard in the pink, so we did RINSTAR at the beginning for reading and math, and that was the assessment that we took, and we did a pulse check to gauge where the students were and the staff and our families. We sent out a Google form. The students took it in science. We sent it out to the teacher, or the teachers took it at a meeting, and then our families, we sent it out in an email. So you can see where our goals on the far right, and we met those goals in ELA. So these are combined we take the the CASP test in 6th, 7th, and 8th. So these are combined scores for the school. So we reached our goals for reading and math. And then it was interesting. The kids, it was different than what Shannon said, that they enjoyed coming to school and they feel upset they have an adult they connect with. They were actually higher in the Youth Truth, which was surprising. During all those numbers, they still flushed that out. Our goal was 50%. It still feels really low that only half the kids enjoy coming to school most of the time, or that they have a trusted adult. It doesn't feel like that on campus, but that's what they say. Our teachers work together to improve instructional practice. 81% of them felt like they did. And at the last leadership meeting we were talking about, we had 34 kids RFEP or reclassified last year, and we had 37 this year. And I think a lot of that is due to our teachers coming together and working together. So that's something we're really proud of. And our parents, 80% said they'd recommend our school to parents seeking a school for their child. So we're really proud of that number. So Windsor scorecard, middle school scorecard. Heather.
Thank you.
Hi there. I wasn't expecting to come before the high school, but here we are. So this is kind of our last hurrah. So I've taken the liberty of doing this a little bit differently this time. I just want to start out by saying that I'm like Lydia said, but I'm incredibly proud of our staff and the work that we have done. And I know we've really made a difference in the lives of students for whom a huge comprehensive school just wasn't the way for them. So one of our typical scorecard things is we've looked at competencies. And so our communication competency, we met our goal with 100% of our grade 11 at or above 3. As a reminder, students that are at a level 3 are ready for college. We didn't see the same growth in quantitative reasoning, which is the equivalent of math. We did have a dip mid-year. We really did come back from that. We didn't meet our goal, but there was definitely growth throughout the year. Some of the board members heard a little bit of this at graduation. I did talk a little bit about competencies at graduation last week, but I think this is like really important to understand what's happening in education now and the movement towards competency-based evaluations. And so we have been using the International Big Picture Learning Credential, which originated in Australia, and it was piloted in the United States for several years now, including at North Bay Met and Big Picture Learning Windsor. And the IBPLC is meant to be a learner record, and it reflects the student's unique abilities and ambitions. It creates more of a comprehensive picture for employers and universities. In Australia, the credential is validated by the University of Melbourne, and it's accepted by Australian public universities, and it's beginning to be accepted here in California. San Marcos is going to be the first CSU to accept the IBPLC in lieu of A through G requirements, and so it's a new pathway to college, and it's not an alternative. It'll be a standard route. And according to Education Reimagined, which is a national education nonprofit who is advocating for student-centered learning, in the past several years, the IBPLC has been earned by about 55 students in the United States, Barbados, and Kenya, and around 60 more students are expected to earn those. We have 5 of those, and from that total of 115 students, North Bay Met and Big Picture Learning has awarded 10 of those International Big Picture Learning credentials. We're very proud of that. And so I'm looking at the same measures, but what I'm really doing is I'm just highlighting our strengths so you can see how we compare when you're looking at the total number. And for some reason, I am totally blanking on that, so I'm going to skip forward so I can, no, that's not forward. So I can look at the number. All right, so we're looking at the aggregated survey, the national database set. So if we're looking at that, if you're looking at all students connected and thriving, we're in the 89th percentile nationally, or excuse me, 86th percentile nationally for the summary measure describing the degree to which students believe that their school fosters a culture of respect and fairness, and that is the top in the district. And in the relationship summary measure, where the degree to which students feel they receive support and personal attention from their teachers, we're at the 98th percentile. That's nationally, and that is the top in the district. If you look at more at all students connected and thriving, if you look at work-based, career-connected, and learning bar charts, you have the work I do from my classes gives me the opportunity to solve real-world problems. We're at the top in the district, and we are, if you're looking at the growth in our school, we have grown year over year. Students that feel ready for the world of work, because this is on a 1 to 4 scale, which is a little different than the other one, but we're at 3.96, which has shown growth over the last couple of years and is much higher than typical WUSD schools. And the work that I do for my classes helps prepare me for careers that interest me. Again, 3.96 out of 4 and ahead of typical WUSD schools. If you look at staff connected and thriving, the culture summary measure is describing the degree to which staff believe that their school fosters a culture of shared vision, respect, and effective communication. We're in 91st percentile nationally. And if you look at SCO schools, that's the 37 high schools in Sonoma County who participated in this. We're just below the top of that. And then if you look at the summary measure describing the degree to which staff experience positive relationships in their school based on respect, care, and approachability, we're in the 99th percentile nationally. And we are at the top of all 37 high schools in Sonoma County. And lastly, I just want to highlight these areas. Again, this is a national comparative data set. When you look at students for engagement, relationships, culture, academic challenge, college and career readiness, we're just heads over people across the country. And if you look at staff connection, we're in those same areas for engagement, relationships, culture, school safety, and professional development and support. We're in the 90th percentiles for all of those. And so this is a program that clearly has had an effect on students. Families didn't really fill this out because I don't think they wanted to give feedback on a school that was closing, but we've clearly made a difference. And I think in a couple of years, you're going to find yourself looking for something to replace this program because it's needed in this district. But thank you.
Hello. Long time no see. It's just been a couple days. I have to say, after being in front of about 4,000 people, right, to hear this is a little bit easier. All right, so let's jump into the high school. If we look at our RunStar scores, we inched up every single time, which again, like progress is progress. And I think that shows the shift that we're really making and kind of that testing mentality, speaking with students about, you know, why are these tests important, especially in the 9th and the 10th grade. We've found that our RunStar scores are really close to how our juniors score on CASP. So this is really reflective of that. And so if we're making growth in RunStar, then we can predict that we'll be making growth in CASP. So I think those are important scores to keep looking at. If we move on to Youth Truth, for our students, my teachers explain things in a way that I understand. We had a big jump there. We went from 38% to 56%, which when I was speaking with my team about this, right, we love to see that students do feel like they're understanding how teachers are working through things. This year, we've also made a push with I can statements and learning targets up on the board in class. You know, when a student kind of understands what the purpose is for that day, it's a lot easier to then understand what your teacher is saying. So we think that's made a difference as well. If we jump down to all staff connected and thriving, staff, I feel empowered to play a meaningful role in decision-making in my school. You'll see that percentage went down. And I actually brought this to my leadership team and I asked them, I said, what are your thoughts on this? Why do you think that this went down? And, you know, I use the schedule as an example because we went through quite the process with bringing in different focus groups, polling the staff, right? We really involved them in that process. So I was a little confused by this. And it was interesting. Their response was they want to see even more of us and have even more of those conversations and know more about what we're doing. It's not necessarily making every single decision, but it's being, felt like they're in the loop on what's going on. And so that's definitely something that we'll be focusing on next year. If we move on to strong family and community relationships, both of these grew. So when it comes to families kind of feeling like they're empowered to play a meaningful role, Davin's done a really great job with running site council and getting those site council notes out to the rest of the parents and sharing with them the discussions that are happening. We also have the weekly newsletter, which I think has helped people feel a little bit more involved in what's going on. And then as well as our teachers clearly communicate, right, that one up. If we jump down to the bottom two, the percentage of 9th graders who earned a D or an F, remember we started at 44%. In April, we were at 28%. So we had a kind of a jump there, but after looking at grades and where our 9th graders finished for the semester, there was only 25% of our 9th graders who had earned at least one D or F. So we got back to kind of where we were in baseline. And then in terms of our college and career readiness, right, this is a super exciting jump. We went from 45% to 56%. about 56%. And there's some really great changes that are happening next year as well with that. So part of what they look at when we're talking about college and career ready is access to college level courses. The CCAP course is something that we offer on our campus where a JC instructor comes to teach that course. This year we were able to offer 1. Next year we're offering 4, which again increases the access for our students, which then can help increase this number. They're also making a change or an addition where if a student completes 50 hours of work-based learning, along with, they always have the plus, but along with a CTE pathway or taking a college level course, that will also now count towards college and career readiness. And the reason I was really excited about that is if we think about Sherry's students and the workability program, right, those students historically have not landed on this indicator. And now with going through her program and that qualifying as a work-based learning opportunity, right, the job for us is to get them through their CTE courses or get them access to that college level course. And now these students who haven't historically showed up on this marker have that opportunity too. So that's a really exciting addition. And another addition that they've made is the state seal of civic engagement. And so as students, there's the successful completion of history courses, community service as related to civic engagement, and then a couple other pieces that we need to fine tune in terms of how a student qualifies for that. But again, it's similar to the seal of biliteracy, and that's another marker that will count as a positive for us when it comes to college and career readiness. So I think we really looked at that number and said, how can we bolster that? And in addition to those other pieces, next year we'll have intervention classes for Math 2 and Math 3. And that will kind of have a twofold effect where if you think about, Math 2 and Math 3, that's going to help those students perform better on CASP. But Math 3 is also a class that can hold up a student from being A through G qualified. And so if they're getting that support in Math 3, they're going to be more likely to pass that course and then, right, be successful in completing all of that. So that's an exciting addition. And I would say that's pretty much it. I already mentioned about the college courses going from 1 to 4. We already have a list of more that we'd like to add the following year. So I think that'll be a huge access point for our students. So yeah, thank you.
Danielle and I have talked a lot. If there's one number that I'm focused on, it's college and career readiness. It encompasses pretty much everything that you see on there. So if I could call attention for you guys to that number and to really look into, what that means, it'd be great, because that's where she and I are having a lot of conversation.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we will all be meeting for our principals retreat this Friday. Superintendent Decker has, for this year, created district goals for us based off of all of this data. And so we're excited to go over, well, I don't know if they're excited. I'm excited to go over all of those goals and do our planning for next year. Any questions? Hearing none? Quick.
No, I can't help myself. Hey, we just had a whole series of graduations, and I just want to thank all of you. You guys did a fabulous job. Every campus, every graduation. You can always kind of tell how you do by how happy the parents are. And just nothing but just happy parents from the first little deal at Brooks and just all the way through. And that's a reflection on you guys. I always like that phrase, speed of the leader, speed of the team. And we all appreciate, I know administration appreciates the speed of our leaders. And we know a few of you aren't going to be with us next year physically, but spiritually. And we know that you're really going to want to be here. And anyhow, but we want to thank you guys. It's sometimes it's a thankless job, but we want to say thanks because you did a great job, and everybody's super happy. And when we get numbers like 80% want to refer us, that's high cotton. So anyhow, thank you all very, very much. Enjoy your summer. It sounds like it won't start until at least after Friday. So anyhow, good luck to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, let's see. So 3.6, Board of Trustees report. That was mine.
Is yours?
Yeah, and the only criticism I had is that she was trying to limit me to a few words in the speech, but I fixed that.
I'll just say that I had my daughter graduate from high school. I'm still processing. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for saying some kind words, Rich, about her and our family. Just an amazing experience.
It was good. And you know what's coolest? Nobody has come back and said you were wrong. There was somebody in Wisconsin that had a valedictorian who had a valedictorian who had a valedictorian who had a valedictorian. I did find 5 valedictorians in one family, though. 5 siblings. That was crazy along my journey of looking. But no, you know what, Steph? The congratulations to you and Colby's again. Again, I love sayings. The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. That's one that we like to use very often. And so to be a valedictorian is pretty rare, but then to actually make one is incredibly rarer, and it's pretty cool. And so I want to make sure we all knew about it, because those are the kind of cool things in our community that sometimes slip under the radar and people don't catch until later. So I thought it was important to bring that out, and that her grandparents were there.
Yeah.
All 4 of her grandparents were there to see it. That's where I had to go squirrel a little bit, because I'm a grandparent now and I can't think of almost anything that would make me more, okay, Lord, you can take me now, than to see my grandkids reach a milestone like that. And because as parents and grandparents, all we really want to know is that our kids are going to make it and they're going to be okay. And if a kid can become a valedictorian, they're pretty much on the way to being, they got things going. So anyhow, so I was happy for you guys and
Thank
happy
you.
for them.
And then one other thing I wanted to call out, because I think this was a very special class in a school board related way, because we had 4 student board members who graduated in this single class. So 2 of our 2 student board members who served last year and our 2 student board members who served this year. So this class is like very drawn to service and this type of service. So I thought that was really cool. And it was great to see everyone walk across the stage, including Rebecca. So congratulations.
Good luck to you, Rebecca.
That's all I have.
Okay. That's it. I took all the air. Sorry. All righty. Moving on to staff association reports.
Okay. Hi. I don't have a, let me look at this close. Well, short people problems here. Good evening, board and district. It's the end of the year. Whew, we made it. I'm excited to be here tonight just to share. I do not have a slide set up for tonight. It's been a crazy few weeks getting back from the internship and just doing my regular paid day job. So sorry for that, but I do have some staff reports here. As you know, our healthcare benefits, they just keep climbing. And as you also know, we've already negotiated, for the next 3 years for what we're going to be doing going forward. And we're happy. Our district's been fair. We are definitely, at this point, we're strongly backing State Superintendent Tony Thurman's new TK through 12 healthcare work group to pull schools together for the self-insured schools of California to help lower the rates. We're really hoping, if anybody here knows anybody, to advocate with us because we are completely here for this. Our people are they're really struggling and they're in the fall. It's hitting us. 12% increase in PPO plans, and I think it's 4.5 or 4.7 for the Kaiser. So it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough, but we get our 2.2% wage increase this year, so it will offset a little. I have been representing, since I've been back, I've been flooded with calls representing many people with different types of issues. I have a goal, and that is to ensure total fairness, when districts are making releases, probationary or permanent. I would like to, I'm looking forward to, and have been working closer with admin, district leaders to work on our discipline process. It's really vague language in our contract. I want to tighten that up when we open for our successor agreements in the fall. I've got some great ideas and ways to make it, just simplify it. Because I do want to work with our district on how we are dealing with discipline issues with members. So going forward, we're going to get better with a lot of that. We do these PD days. As you know, we got this added last year for classified staff. This was a big win for us to add professional development for us to kind of align with the teachers. And this year, I'm already excited to see they're on the calendar. I'm excited to just be a part of that and to help with anything the district needs in the way of training members. Eventually, I'd love to see this as calendared as part of our calendar. Maybe when we negotiate in the fall, we can discuss that, because if it's in our calendar, it's personable. We always want that. I brought forward just tonight, and I know it's on the agenda, and I'm using this as my staff report, but I did see the cell phone policy. CSEA has a few concerns on that, and I'm hoping we can. I know you want to get this all approved tonight. But as a reminder, Anaheim v. PERB 1981, we do, have the right to bargain the effects of any new policies that can affect classified folks. And so as I read it over, there were some things in there that just felt a little loose in the way of language. And, I know Jeremy knows I don't love loose language, but I printed up something that I'm hoping, I know if this may pass tonight, it passes, but maybe forward we can come up with an amendment of some sort, because there's some things that leave liability exposure on classified staff. I do believe that classified staff are going to be feeling these cell phones like in their hands, and it does make us a little nervous. There's going to be a culture shock with all of this. There are parents probably not even paying attention this is going on right now, and when school starts, I'm a frontline person that's going to answer the phone calls to those parents who are upset about the cell phones possibly taken from the children. And I just want to protect my members. And I have something I just want to share with you. I'll just hand it here, and then you can pass it all the way through. It's just considerations for us. I'm hoping we can chat with the district regarding some of the language in the policy. And maybe we can figure it out here. I see it's on the agenda. Maybe we can talk that through later. But let me just start here. I have had a lot of calls. A lot of our members are paying attention to the cell phone policy. So this is not just coming from me. This is from my members. They feel they're going to be heavily impacted when this rolls out. So we just don't want unintended consequences or any missteps here. I know we're on a crunch time to get this done. So, and I'm with you in working through it. I want to say one really positive thing. Today I got to represent a member who was a little fearful that she was maybe possibly walking into a discipline. And it was with the WELL program, and Jessica, it was great. We sat down, and it really wasn't, Jessica was like, this was just going to be a check-in. And we were able to just talk through things informally. It was actually how I would love every kind of meeting to go. But one thing I learned in there, that I thought was really cool, because the WELL classified staff are a lot of times forgotten. They have odd hours, so they kind of work outside the normal scope of the day. We kind of forget about them sometimes when it comes to the classified member of the month. The principal, they're kind of the kickstand of the school over there at Maddie. And but one of the things I thought was really cool, I just want to shout this out. I found out that the WELL program classified workers, they were able to recover 87 attendance days by supporting kiddos after school on their missed work. And I just thought that was huge, because those workers were working with those students after school to get caught up and just claim back the time. So way to go. Well, classified staff, if you're watching. Anyway, thank you. Do you have any questions, comments?
Thank you for providing this. And when we have it on the the agenda part, we can go into a little bit more. Some of the things that you've mentioned have been discussed, but we can go. But thanks for putting it together.
Yeah, and I don't know if it passed all the way through. I'm not trying to keep anything from everyone. So I made enough copies for everybody here so it can keep going if you didn't get it down here. So,
yeah, but
okay. Thank you.
We'll touch it soon. Thanks.
Susanna Pfeffer, WDEA President. The penultimate report of mine, just that, it was nice to attend the Windsor High School graduation. This was actually the first one I ever attended, and it was long. I remember being in high school and our teachers saying, no, we will not be going to graduation. And the only way you can get us there is to force us to be there. And how we forced some teachers to be there, we made it happen. But it's really for the families and it's for the students. And it is the whole reason why you all are here is our students. And as the representative for one of our labor groups, the last few weeks of June, they say that if you are a union president, do not leave town, because that's when everything weird happens. And now that school ends, the beginning of June, the weird stuff has already started happening. So there's a lot going on that Jeremy's going to have to be dealing with the new president. I will be available to him to answer questions, but, just pay attention to those closed session discussions and, whether all staff is connected and thriving, because that seems to be the topic amongst ourselves. And I will see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Ready. 3.8, approval of minutes. Thanks, Steph. Approval of minutes from the May 13th special board meeting and the May 18th regular board meeting. Can I have a motion to approve those?
I'll move to approve both sets of minutes as submitted.
All righty. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion from anybody in the audience? All righty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, Jen. 401. And one. The most important one. All righty. Moving on to consent items, Paul.
All right. Do we have any adjustments to the consent items? Anyone want anything pulled or? Nope. Okay. Seeing. Oh, do I have to go up for public comment? Any public comment on any of these items?
Yeah, the only one is just the one I've always done is just never have understood why. Nah, never mind. Coaching stipends, but I just want to actually make a comment. Did you guys, I one time proposed a long, long time ago that the coaches, the stipends, that if the coaches, if they won like the league championship or the section championship, that they would get like a little spiff or something along the lines. And actually, they have a rule against that. I didn't know that. It was a terrible rule. But it's pretty much all up and down the state and the NCS and everybody else, but just in case anybody at home was wondering. So other than that.
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept consent items 4.1 through 4.9?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All righty, moving on to 5.1, consideration of adoption of new elementary mathematics curriculum. And that is going to be by Annette.
Aw. Good evening. Sorry I missed you all on Saturday at the graduation. My dog got into a scuffle Friday night and I was wounded. We all were wounded. So I was in the vet all Saturday while you were enjoying celebrating kids. All right, I'm here this evening to share with you a multi-year process we've been in to try to strengthen and respond to the stagnant math achievement. It's going on across the state, but significant in our district. Our work started about 2 years ago when we, across 3 sites, we sent administrators and teacher representatives to participate in California Ed Partners pre-K to 3 coherence collaboration, where we began digging into the new mathematics framework that was published in 2023. So our work started just a year after that framework was adopted. The new framework is designed to improve student outcomes through equitable student-first approach, emphasizing deep understanding of mathematic concepts over memorization. It focuses on teaching through big ideas, inquiry-based learning, and real-world application. It supports multilingual learners and ensures that all students have access to advanced math pathways. Some of the key components in the new framework are here. There are significant instructional shifts that we're asking of teachers, and that's why the work is more than just adopting a curriculum. It's about digging into the framework as well as the standards, the Common Core state standards and the standards for math practices, and I'll describe those in just a moment. But here are the ideas that were published 2 years ago and guided math curriculum publishers to ensure their curriculum was written in a way that we would be able to provide more access to more students. Some students get it out of the gate. Some students take deeper experiences, and the new curriculum that we're going to propose this evening is meant to give more access to more students. So it can get confusing. This is something you can look back to if you're interested, but I'm just going to focus on the bottom line where it explains that we have standards for mathematical practice, and these are about making sense of mathematics for students and the ways that we engage students. Next, we have the Common Core state standards. These are the skills we actually want students to understand and master. And then beyond that, now we have the California Math Framework, which provides us with a clear vision for all learners. And it has a focus on research-based instructional guidance. We have traditional math practices that we learned when we were in school, the things that worked for us. I often have to remind myself and my colleagues that we were successful in the way things were taught. Some of our peers were not. And this is about opening the door for more learners to have access to mathematics. And so it's very exciting to have our P3CC group that you've seen now 2 years in a row develop our vision for math classrooms across the district, and that is where all students build deep conceptual understanding, develop strong number fluency, and engage in rich mathematical thinking through collaborative discourse, problem solving, and purposeful teacher facilitation. And I share all this because I have invited a couple of teachers here to talk to you about their experience piloting the new math curriculum that we will propose for adoption. But first, here's the timeline of how things went. So for 2 years, we've been participating in P3CC. Last November, the Department of Education published a list of recommended curriculum. In January, we took our math improvement team to Sonoma County Office of Education to participate in a curriculum fair where we were able to look at and explore curriculum and participate in workshops by the different vendors. We divided and conquered, we spread out, and we came back together at the end of that day. And through the lens that we've developed working with the statewide collaborative with California Ed Partners, we selected 2 curriculum to pilot this spring, with the understanding that if they were not going to meet our needs, we would continue piloting into the fall. We didn't want to put a limit on making a selection of a curriculum that we would be committing to for many, many years. So the team selected these two curriculum for piloting, Amplify, Desmos Math. We do have a curriculum we've adopted in science by Amplify, and we had some teachers already exploring the materials at one of our school sites, so this was an easy one to select. The other one was one that none of us had heard of. It's InnovaMat. They solely focus on mathematics curriculum. Unlike Amplify that does science and reading and a lot of other different curriculum, InnovaMat is strictly focused on mathematics. It's also a company that serves internationally. This curriculum is used in Europe and Latin America, and it is based on a book, Building Thinking Classroom, not based on, but incorporates strategies that are in a published book for building thinking classrooms in mathematics. Here's a list of teachers across 3 sites that participated in the pilot. 2 of them are here today. So on the first day, we introduced the math framework and the vision for mathematics in Windsor Unified to the whole group. And then we were trained on the Amplify curriculum and piloted it for the month of March. See there, March through April, pilot window number 1. April 16th, we came back together. We debriefed the experience, and we walked our team through a series of activities, the first being a pros and cons chalk talk, where they, under the headings of these 6 areas, they gave feedback on pros and cons in these different areas. Oops, sorry. And then we had them meet in grade level teams, so they would be speaking with people across the district, colleagues teaching at other schools in their same grade levels, to talk about what worked well, what challenges they experienced, and how did the students respond to the curriculum. And then we came back to whole group. This process was facilitated by our coordinator, Robin Fletcher, who has an enthusiasm that is unending, and teachers were fed and provided with incentives like chocolate and fun stuff, and they enjoyed sharing across the district. It was a very wonderful experience. Historically, Cali has adopted curriculum, and it is not usually the same across the district, but this time we tried and succeeded in engaging and finding curriculum that would meet the needs of the dual language model as well as our monolingual schools. So release day 2, we debriefed Amplify Pilot, and we received training on thinking math. And then release day 3, after they piloted thinking math, we debriefed thinking math. We did a side-by-side comparison. Teachers had lunch, and then we came back together to do some planning for what does a successful implementation look like. So here's a slide of notes that we took as we were working with the teachers. We did a couple of votes, just kind of polled to see where teachers were, and then we had them work together in sites to determine which curriculum best met the needs at their school site. And through some conversations, there was a consensus around thinking math as the curriculum that would be able to stretch across the district, provide bilingual curriculum, and address the needs and the framework in terms of how we engage students in mathematics. So why the common curriculum? Teachers felt like there was a cohesive student experience. Students that move schools, at times students will move schools from Cali and move to one of the other schools. This can be an experience where they are going into a classroom with the same math curriculum, same language and vocabulary around the content. Staff can align and collaborate across the district if we have a common curriculum. There's access for families who have students at multiple sites, and we can look at common data together across the sites, and strengthen collaboration between Cali teachers, Brooks and Maddie Washburn. Before I go through the why thinking math, I'm going to invite a couple teachers up to talk to you about their experience and why they would like to see thinking math in the classroom. Jen Williams is a 4th grade teacher at Brooks Elementary. And Karen Winters is a special day class teacher meeting the needs of students with IEPs at Maddie Washburn. Let Jen go first. We're going. You can stand with her. Do you want to share a little bit about your experience? Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry. This reminds me of college. I thought I was smarter than everybody else. I would always buy the used books, and I was hoping the person that had it before me was really smart, and they would already have marked all the highlighted stuff, the good stuff.
Is this one? His version is filled in. So he was like, oh, this reminds me of, yeah.
Yes.
I have probably like 5 reasons why I think thinking math was a good alignment for us to go with. First of all, they're nerdy by nature. That was one of their first things they said. Oh, sorry, my bad. Muted. So they're nerdy by nature, they're math people. And so for math people to write math curriculum, that just makes sense, right? It's not a curriculum company, it's a math company. So I love nerdy by nature. I took a class in math intervention, and they talked about how other countries are thriving in math. So why not use a math curriculum that was made in another country, that was started in Spanish? Like, if we need to do something different, then we need to do something different. And so this is different enough that it gets us excited. 2 things that they do that I think are amazing at the very top of why thinking math is concrete to pictorial to abstract. So basically students have their hands on the math, which is the concrete, then they make pictures of it and can diagram it, and then the abstract is like the math sentence or the math equation. So that's naturally how students and people learn math, and so that's like the base of everything they do. Another thing that other countries do well is using the number line to make sense of numbers, and thinking math uses the number line for everything. And the concepts I taught at the beginning of the year, I showed with thinking math with the number line, and students are like, oh, why didn't you do it before like that? That makes sense. So it just makes it more visual and understanding how numbers are increasing even with decimals. So I also love thinking math because they have planned in natural review days. So there's 4 teaching days, and then there's no teaching on the 5th day. So that's a natural time for me as a teacher to go, oh, I see you're struggling with this. You guys are working on that. I'm pulling these students. And so it's not like, we got to keep moving through curriculum to get through the end of the year. There's natural days to stop and like breathe and go, okay, who's not understanding this? Like, what curriculum does that? I've never seen that, so that's exciting. Also, I feel like as a teacher, you're walking a tightrope because you need students to know their facts, and the automaticity and fluency is super important, but then the California state's saying, no, they need to be deep thinkers. Well, you can't be a deep thinker if you don't know your numbers. So the two have to they have to be together, and this curriculum puts them together very well, where the problems on the page you see, they look more like puzzles, like what are we doing here, instead of a whole list of problems. So students who are like, what is going on? I hate math. They're like, oh, this is not bad. There's only like 3 or 4 questions on this. I can conquer that. But then they have this whole piece of fluency that once they finish that, they have to log into the computer, and it's like matching where they go. So it really is a good marriage of knowing your fluency, but also making your mind think. Also, I had this one student that I just couldn't grab all year. I tried. And on the first day we did this, he's like, oh, now I like math. Like, why haven't you done something like this? So a student who just off the rails, not my favorite person. When he was absent, it was a good day. Like, it got him. That's huge, like, to me. But it also, the students who wanted more in math, they're like, oh, they were starting to see things that like I didn't have to teach them. They're like, I get this. And so it was really fun to see both ranges of students come together on this. And that's that.
Hi. So I wrote a little bit. I'm going to read it because I'll miss something if I don't. As a SPED teacher, I'm excited about this curriculum. The last time I was up here and speaking, I explained how hard it is to get curriculum for SPED. Our kids, to be honest, math has always been piecemealed for SPED. I've taken a little bit of Bridges and a little bit of some other stuff that is, that I've found, plus stuff I get off the internet to teach math. So I feel that this particular curriculum is something I can grab all of it, and I don't really have to piecemeal if I don't want to. One reason I wanted to be a part of this math pilot team was I wanted to make sure that my voice was heard for the teachers and the students that I serve, and that we serve as SPED teachers. So I have a few points. This curriculum allows students to focus skills aligned with what the general education requirements are at a level that they can do. The repetitiveness that they have and the repetition that they have, like what she was explaining at the end, allows us to go a little slower with our kids so that we can make sure that they're getting what it is that we're teaching. We're able to take the pieces of what is there and be able to differentiate it and make it work for each of those kids. I have 12 kids in my class and each one of them learn differently. So I have to, as a teacher, say, how can I get this kid to learn? How can I get this kid to learn? And with this curriculum, I was able to go, oh, I can take this and I can take this and I can take this, and we can combine it. To further support differentiated learners, the practice computer lessons are excellent for one-on-one instruction, for small groups. I found that because of the slides that they have, because of the videos that they have, I was able to engage 12 kindergarten special needs kids with them just all staring at me. I'm like, what are you going to give me next? For them to be part of the actual lesson was really awesome. And to see the smiles on their faces when they got it was really awesome as well. Due to the manipulatives that they have for us to use, as well as the videos, the engagement level for my kiddos was 100%. One thing I found that was truly awesome was to see how involved my kids were. I found myself with this curriculum speaking, instead of speaking at them, I was speaking with them. Because what this curriculum does is asks you, what is it that you think about this? So there's two things. We teach it, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Draw me a picture of what you think it's going to be or what your thoughts are. And that was what was really awesome for my kiddos, because I have kids that are nonverbal. But they were able to take that pencil and they were able to draw me a picture and explain to me what it was that they got from this particular thing. So I love it. I hope you guys do too.
All right. So you can see a list, whoops, you can see a list of why teachers said this would be the right curriculum. Pedagogically, there were sound strategies connected to standards for mathematics practice. It originated in Spanish. It wasn't translated into Spanish, which many curriculum are. So this one originated in Spanish and then it was written in English. It wasn't a translation. Student strong engagement, we heard that across the board from all the teachers as they were debriefing. Kinder teachers especially were very excited because it was developmentally appropriate and their students were fully engaged. And while there was some prep work that went with it, teachers expressed that there was a payoff for that prep work. I have a quick video from the curriculum developers. Is there a way for us to turn that on? Yes, let's try. It's 2 minutes.
Sorry, it's very positive.
To make my joke. I was just going to say, I had a joke that if we put a video, it might just have Pete's voice echoing over and over.
Right?
You had to be there, guys.
We can skip it, Brian. We can skip it. That's fine. Thank you. All right. So, it's not just about selecting a curriculum, but it's about successful implementation. And here is a list of the things that we are grappling with to ensure. I just had an hour-and-a-half meeting today with our coordinator and the coach for Thinking Math and the success agent for Thinking Math, talking about what sort of a phased implementation, onboarding, ongoing professional development for our teachers to ensure they feel successful and confident implementing this. As teachers, we've all had very different experiences when new curriculum is adopted, and I've made it my mission to make sure this feels different for our teachers. We have Professional Development Day planned for August 7th. We have a half day planned in October. We have webinars that will meet with grade level specific teachers to support them. And we're planning for doing deeper professional development around the assessment suite in the curriculum. So it's really important to me that we build teachers' confidence. It's something new. It's something new to learn. There's going to be a learning curve, but we have deep engagement across our sites with administrators who've been participating in the P3CC, and we will get Sean Gilbertson on board. He's enthusiastic no matter what we throw at him. So I'm meeting with him as well to talk about math success at Maddie Washburn. So math improvement team, we'd like to this third year, expand. We have what we call a traveling team. We want to expand it to include teachers from every grade level across all 3 schools, going from 5 teachers to 12 teachers. We'll be meeting monthly to align and spread new understanding of the math framework and standards for math practice in connection with this new curriculum. We'll pay teachers for their extra time, and like they did this year, they'll do some professional development with their colleagues. Teachers expressed really loving hearing and learning from their colleagues in April, so we'd like to do that again. And then just a special thanks to Robin Fletcher for facilitating the math adoption team, planning for the 3 days, working with the curriculum publishers. This would not have been the success it was without her participation. We love a vote. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment.
Sure.
I had the privilege of meeting with, it was someone from the publisher.
Bernat, yes.
What was it?
Bernat Pavel.
Bernat.
Yes, yeah.
And I was very impressed that he was able to answer my tough questions, as I've been giving the board and you a lot of tough questions about math. And a couple of things really stood out to me. He didn't flinch when I said, that one slide that you said that had fluency, and I said, well, wait a minute, aren't we going for automaticity? And then and I like that you presented both, because both are important. And I like the fact that you recognize that you need automaticity to do higher level thinking. So the whole premise of this program is to build both. And what's interesting, I just happened to flip to this page about long division. Now, when I taught long division, this is 4th grade. When I taught long division, there was just lists and lists of problems to do. But what I liked about this one, because I remember there was a trick about dividing something by 4, that if you look at the last 2 digits, it's a multi-digit, this had 4 digits. If you look at the last 2 digits and they're divisible by 4, then the whole number is divisible by 4. Meaning there's no remainder. And so I don't know if that's what they're getting at here, but then they have dividing by 4 ending in an odd number. So what happens there? And then they ask them, this is what I like, they ask them, well, what do the 2 division problems that you did, discuss those with your classmates, and what do they have in common? So maybe those, if it ends in an odd number, maybe it always has a remainder. I mean, I don't know, maybe they could look at that, but it gets them to think. And I do like that because I was like, no, we got to drill and kill more. But slow down because what I learned is if you miss one or two, why make them suffer missing, a page of 10 or 15 of them? Right. So I like this approach of less is more. So I really like that. And I was really impressed with him. He answered a lot more tough questions. And I defer to you and to the team that worked on it. And I think you did I'm excited about this. Also, I was excited that it's successful in Europe and they're kicking our, in math. Okay, so if I want to defer to a publisher that all they do is math, they do it in Europe, they do it in, you said in South America?
America, yeah.
I'm in. Let's try it. Let's go.
Thank you.
Oh, Mel. I kind of feel like you tricked us a little bit because you started off with something about chocolate and it got distributed to the whole district. And I'm thinking like, we're part of the district.
The chocolate.
And I thought you were going to be like Jen and you were going to bring us goodies.
Okay, next time.
And you did. The book is a goodie. This is the goodie that keeps on giving.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah.
So,
Well, go ahead. No, you're still going?
yeah, no, it was all good. So thank you.
Do we have to do public comment? We're just going to make a motion.
No, we have to make a motion, then we have to go public.
Oh, okay. I was just going to make a motion to approve this curriculum.
And I'll second the motion. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to come up and say anything or bring gifts?
Susanna Pfeffer, Windsor High School math teacher. I just finished my 34th year teaching math. And one of the biggest things that I've learned teaching math is that when you pick a program, the program is designed to be complete. And when we hop in and out, or the teacher in room 2 is doing only some pieces of it and the teacher in room 7 is doing other pieces of it, we are not providing equity to our students. So there are two components of this that is going to make it successful. It's a well thought out program that covers what we need it to cover. And it addresses various learning styles, and the most important one about hooking children into a lesson at the beginning, every single lesson, and then following up at the end. Some of us old timers know that as Madeline Hunter. Some of you have no idea who I'm talking about, but Madeline Hunter still reigns supreme, right? Yeah. She was a brilliant pedagogist. But the other piece is that all of our children are receiving the same thing at about the same time, in the same manner. It is really what best first instruction is about. We don't need to try a gazillion things when we know one thing will work. And when that one thing doesn't work, that's when we start trying the other things. But best first instruction, let's be consistent and let's bring it through the grades all the way through grade 12.
Thank you. Is there any other from the audience? All righty. Very good. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All righty. Very good. Let's make it happen.
Thanks, guys.
All right. All righty. So, an audible possibly?
Thank you.
So we moved 5.2 to 5.9.
Back if you want, whatever you want to do.
She said, so, yeah. So we're going to go and put 5.9 back to 5.2 if there's anybody that has a challenge with that. So we're just going to put their agenda back to how it was originally. Any questions or comments? All righty. So do we have to make a motion to do that?
You should.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we move 5.9 back to 5.2. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 5.2, consideration of novel adoptions for Windsor High School English Department. This item will be introduced by Annette Zacconi.
All right, Windsor High School English Department submitted, I want to say 9 novel adoption proposals. The list was longer, but when we passed the using Common Sense Media as a vetting resource for novels for our school district, several of their novels already fit into that criteria, so I could reduce the list tonight. So here are the titles that they have submitted. I just wanted to let you know that they also, other than Common Sense Media, there's another site that teachers will use to learn about books, grade level appropriateness, content themes, controversial things. And so teachingbooks.net is another widely used educational resource that supports evaluation of and the instructional use of literature. And so each of these, they leaned on this site for the grade level range. And so I have those printed on the slides for you. I want to make a note, though, that while the top there, it says the grade span that Teaching Books has noted is 7th through 12th, you're considering these books for 9th through 12th. These are a Windsor High School adoption proposal, not the middle school. So the first book is A Dream Called Home by Reina Grande with it's a nonfiction biography, and the cultural experiences, knowing that what we're trying to do is diversify our literature offerings for our students so that we can reach and connect with more of our students' backgrounds, cultural backgrounds. This one is one that touches on immigrant and refugee, women and girls, and Latinos from the U.S., Canada. Steal Like an Artist is a nonfiction book. Again, that grade level is from Teaching Books for Schools website, not, it doesn't represent our adoption for the district. Ours is 9th through 12th for this evening. The next one is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. It's a horror science fiction fantasy, and the cultural experience is Latino. Reign of Gold by Victor Villaseñor, and this is a biography with the cultural experience Latino. I, Rigoberta Menchú, is a biography, nonfiction, cultural experience is women and girls, American Indian and Latino, Latin America. How the Garcia Girls Lost Their Accent. Historical fiction, Latino, cultural experience. And Solito by Javier Zamora. It's a biography, nonfiction, Latino cultural experience, and immigrant refugee. And then Gods of Jade and Shadow, science fiction, fantasy, Latino cultural experience. We want to say thank you for your consideration and allow you to have a conversation. I know that Superintendent Decker provided you with a list that let you know which ones had previously been recommended by a board member for consideration.
I just wanted to make a note that Reign of Gold in Spanish is Lluvia de Oro, and it's a book that I read in 9th grade at Windsor High School. It was assigned reading, so I think maybe it's been approved previously, at least it was 25 years ago, and it's a great book. So I guess we can approve it again today if the board so chooses, but it has been taught in the past in our district.
Thank you.
So I want to thank Trustee Lopez for the list, and we've been working on this for a number of months. You know, I noticed when we didn't see them on Common Sense Media, if teachingbooks.net is a good substitute, perhaps we consider adding that to our policy. That if that gave us enough information to get them through on this. I went through and looked at theirs. It seems like a little less comprehensive than Common Sense Media, but if it was sufficient to get these 7 or 8 texts across, perhaps we consider as a group amending our policy to add that in addition to Common Sense Media. But I'll support this measure.
Thanks, Bill.
Great.
So what's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I appreciate Superintendent Decker. So there's like 7 books, and as all of you feel all of our pain this last week, ask you, this last 2 weeks have been the last 6 weeks have been crazy busy. And this last week, there was not any time to squeeze in 2 seconds for another thought. And so I didn't get a chance to read the books and go through them. So Superintendent Decker probably realized all that. And so he put together a nice little ChatGPT, little whatever. And so I was cruising through it. And some of the potential content considerations were, some of the normal things, but it said, contains sexual content and some different things like that, right? The reason I'm bringing this up is because even an old guy can continue to learn. So I called my good friend, Malinali, and I asked her, I said, hey, you recommended these books and I didn't read them, but there's some things in there that they're concerned about, right? And so I don't want to, you can correct me if I say it incorrectly, but she goes, Rich, there's not sexual descriptions and things in it. It's just alluding to a content. And I'm like, that is different. And I think it's important. And that's why I'm bringing it up, is because I've learned something a little bit new today. Thank you. And my issue is more really super descriptive things that I don't think add value to the discussion. But, you can't talk about a sensitive subject without at least alluding to it, right? And that the person, wherever their maturity level is, they can take whatever they want to glean from it. And if they want to learn more, they can learn more. And I'm sorry. Is that?
I think
You can keep going, Rich. It's okay.
You're getting played off.
At my age, when you start hearing harp music, you start to wonder, am I leaving?
No, that means we got 2 minutes.
No, it's all good. Anyhow, I just want to thank Malinali, one, for continuing to keep this issue of making sure that a lot of our students have things that are significantly important to them, that they have the ability to have access to. And that's really, really good. And then also for clarifying the difference between a theme or some content versus a graphic part of it and stuff. And so for that, I appreciate that. And lastly, because I haven't read them, sometimes we all as trustees have to depend on each other for our areas of expertise and our different things. And in this area, I trust you.
Thank you.
And
That means a
so
lot.
I'm good with approving these books.
Thank you. That means so much. So unless Paul has something to say, I just want to say that I remember I was here on my birthday back in October. So I consider this one to be a delayed birthday present because I feel that I worked so hard, to have more diverse offerings in our curriculum alongside other people. So Jeremy and Annette and John Richards, who works at the Windsor High School, and I have had many conversations about our curriculum. And I just want to say everyone has worked so hard, to get to this point. And I just feel so happy, and I'm thrilled, with these selections. Even some of the books I didn't select are, I think, wonderful because I know the authors. I just haven't read those particular books. So, for example, Reina Grande, I haven't read the book that was recommended, but I have read her other book that she wrote before that one. So wonderful, wonderful author. I also want to say that I was not as lucky as Stephanie because I didn't get to read Reina Gold when I was in high school, but I read it in freshman year of college. And I want to say that Reina of Gold, along with the other book, Ay Rigoberta Menchú, which is about the Guatemalan Civil War, and it was about the massacre of indigenous Mayan people during the Guatemalan Civil War. Those two books together, intellectually broke me wide open, and I was never the same person again after I read those two books. And in fact, I credit those two books for sparking intellectual curiosity, for me becoming a published writer. I've been published in global and national magazines, and I was just never the same after I read those 2 books. And I really hope, I think that part of what has been driving me is that I hope that young high school students will read these books and they will one day say to themselves, I want to be a writer, or I want to be a leader. You know, one of the you know, not to be punny, but one of the gold mines of Reina Gold is that it completely shatters any gender roles that you have ever heard in the media about Mexican women, completely shatters them, breaks them open, and it makes you believe that Mexican women, before the Mexican Revolution and after the Mexican Revolution, they have always been really powerful leaders. And I did not know that as a college freshman until I read this particular book. And I thought, wow, you know, women have been historically powerful and relevant always. They always have in Mexico. So, you know, I just can't say enough good things about all of these books. Some of the most recent ones are Solito and Reina Grande's books that were written more recently. So I like that we have also diversity in, you know, historical frameworks as well as culture. So this is such a beautiful selection. I'm just so happy. Like, I feel that this is a birthday present. So thank you.
Happy birthday.
That's all I have to say.
All good? Rebecca, are you in? I'd like to make a motion that we approve this list.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, time out. Anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this issue? Alrighty, sorry. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. Motion carries. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 5.3. Thanks, Annette. Consideration of discussion of the first reading of the CSBA May policy updates. Assistant Superintendent Brian Williams.
So this is just a first reading, and if these policy updates went to our board policy subcommittee. So if the full board has any feedback, you can send it to our subcommittee or send it to me, and we can take off any of them for the next board meeting. Otherwise, they'll just go under consent to be adopted as they are written. Just a reminder that most of them are just new laws, new ed code, new policies. Later on, there is one that we did modify, and that's why we're passing it as a separate item.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any questions or?
No. This is just for information.
Right.
Correct. There is no vote.
Yeah. Anybody in the audience have any comments? All righty. Thank you, Brian.
I'm next too.
Yep. Got a hog in the show. All righty. 5.5, public hearing on the 24-27 local control accountability plan.
You'll need to open the hearing and then stare at me for a minute.
I would like to open the hearing so I can stare at Brian.
And I just want to make a note that there's a 5.4 and a 5.5 that are LCAP hearings. So just want to make sure we get both of those.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That feels like it's been about a minute. All right, I'd like to close that hearing. And do we need to open 5.4? I'm sorry.
Do we need to vote on it?
I don't think we vote, do we?
So yes, you're voting next time. This is just the public hearing for feedback on the LCAP. And then any of the feedback will be incorporated into changes, and then we'll come back at the end of the month to vote.
Yeah, but you're also welcome to make any recommendations, ask any questions as well. It's not just public, it's you as well.
Right. And so then, right. So taking a half step backwards to 5.4.
Oh, did you do 5.5?
So the very, that was 5.5. It was at the very bottom of the page and Stephanie caught it.
Got it.
So that's why she sees Stanford. Public hearing for the 2024-25 2027 Local Control Accountability Annual Review by Brian.
And so you'll have to open another hearing.
And I'm opening this hearing. I'm not gonna peep this time. This has got to be the hardest thing in public office for me. Letting a minute just go by.
You and my 10-year-old would do so well together. Silence doesn't work for her at all.
And that felt like a minute. So I'd like to close that meeting, that hearing. Is there any comments from the audience? Oh, is that Bill?
Yeah, I just was pleased, and thank you, Brian. I'm pleased how under goal 1, we continue to integrate the various test score and I got to make sure I get it right. The growth and achievement measures, both for their own standalone silos, but also for things like the college and career and the dashboard that they overlap now in so many different ways. And I appreciate how the LCAP's doing that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to 5.6, public hearing for the review of the 26-27 adopted budget. This will be presented by Austin.
All right, good evening. Now, I'm not supposed to say this because I'm supposed to be objective, but I will subjectively say that this is one of the best governor's budgets I have had in my career so far. So that's exciting. I'll walk you through it. So this is part 1, adopted budget. I kind of give this disclaimer every adopted budget. I have the least amount of information when building a budget in this budget than I do all of the others. So at first interim, I know what enrollment's coming in at. I know what our staffing is at. I can see what attendance is kind of trending at. At second interim, I already have a certified attendance period. Like everything is more, I have more information. This one is the least amount of information that I have, but it's our first look at the governor's budget. So I spend quite a bit of time on the governor's budget. So this is kind of an overview of how education's funded in California. If you remember from my second interim report, I mentioned that the governor was basically withholding the 39% that's supposed to go to education. He wasn't going to fund that full amount. He was going to withhold roughly $4 million in terms of Windsor dollars. So $4 million that would have came to us. If you remember that much. So just kind of a review of that's how education's funded. It goes into one pot, and then the governor and the legislature and the Senate and the Assembly, they all kind of divvy it out from there. These are the big 3 taxes. One thing that's important to note about these big 3, you can see the personal income tax in the blue, the corporation tax, the sales and use. The governor's on a 3-year budget window that's actually different from schools. So the governor's budget window is the prior year, the current year, and next year. And he's always kind of operating on these 3 windows, as opposed to us, it's current year and then the 2 future years. One thing that's interesting to note, if you look on the right, it talks about how revenues came in stronger, about $16.5 billion over that budget window. Sometimes we'll see in the news the governor's budget has a deficit of $60 billion. Well, that's over the course of 3 years. So this year we saw an increase of about $16.5 billion. And personal income tax alone accounted for most of that from January. What's difficult about personal income tax is we always say it's driven by the stock market. So if you go to the next slide, here's our stock market. All 3 of the major indexes, the S&P 500, which is the 500 largest companies in our stock market, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ all had records this year. The S&P 500, the 500 largest companies, had 23 record high closes so far this year. What's driving this mostly is technology and AI. They're calling it a little bit of the AI bubble, just because we're not totally seeing. A good one is Claude. Anthropic is owned. They just announced that they were going to go out for a public offering, and the valuation on that company is extremely high from a finance guy if you were to look at the earnings. With that being said, I'm a huge Claude fan, so I can understand why people are excited about that public offering. With that being said, though, one thing that's risky to watch is just how we've had years that are good like this one. We've also, I know Jeremy and I have both experienced years that are maybe not so good, and we see negative COLAs and all the things. So that's one thing to just kind of keep in mind when we have these good years, is how do we be strategic about it over the long term. So these are the headlines for Windsor. Going from left to right, there's the governor fully funded COLA. He had more than enough money to do that. So the COLA for this year was 2.87%. And that's pretty, at this point, that's pretty standard. That's the statutory COLA. All the data points that indicate COLA are in. One thing that's in that, the 2.87 is incorporated into this budget. The ongoing 1.6 million for special education could, I would say, is the largest investment in this budget if it were to be approved. It's not included in this budget because I'm hesitant to improve something that massive, because as you could imagine, 1.6 million going to special education would free up the general fund, because special education is so overspent. It frees up the general fund. And so that would be $1.6 million ongoing funding that would free up out of unrestricted. So it's pretty, it would be amazing if that passed. It's not built into this one because we're going to keep it conservative until it goes through, but be crossing our fingers until that happens. He proposed a block grant, a large discretionary block grant. Honestly, I've kind of learned with these block grants, they change names. So for now, I'm just going to call it the discretionary block grant, but it's the student support and discretionary block grant that was in his most recent budget this year. That would be about roughly 4.3 million. And like any block grant, he gives it to us up front and then we choose to spend it down. He's proposing roughly 2030, 2031, so 4 or 5 years, which is pretty typical for block grants. And then the final thing, which again, I'm going to be subjective instead of objective. I think it's great that he's saying that, you know, everyone's going to be eligible for 14 weeks of paid pregnancy disability leave, and that's for all educational agencies. One thing to note is not every educational agency offers disability leave, and so he would be making this a requirement starting for the 26-27 school year. And not only that, from the school district side, he's also funding it. So he made an ongoing 1.44% augmentation to the LCFF. The augmentation and the COLA sometimes get misconstrued a little bit. So the COLA is a cost of living adjustment. That's a percentage. And the augmentation is a percentage that's applied the same exact way COLA is, but it's for an ongoing cost that is applied. So we've seen that now twice in the last 7-8 years. And this is a good example of when it would be used for an ongoing cost that he's doing. So again, special education, that's the historic increase. I'll kind of go through how special education is funded. So special education is not actually funded based off the amount of students with special education needs that you have. So you don't get funded based off the amount of high needs students you have. You're actually funded off ADA as a whole. The reason for this is because back a long time ago, they used to fund it based off of needs. And what did you see? You saw a lot of students being identified with needs because people wanted money. So with that being said, it's now funded based off of ADA, just standard ADA like the rest of our budget's funded off of. That money comes into our local special education local plan area, the SELPA. It's kind of like the SCO, or the Sonoma County Office of Education for special education, and then they allocate it to us. He's proposing to increase it by 46% over what it is right now. So you can see this current year is $917. And his proposal, again, proposal is $1,340. And that's kind of what institutes that 1.6 million. All right, so that leads us to the adopted budget. So this is what we built the budget on. You guys are pretty accustomed to seeing this. That third year is brand new. Enrollment stays high for the most part all 3 years. You don't see a huge drop off. We have a smaller class this year in our 12th graders that will graduate out and then be backfilled. So the high school will actually have, I think that that high school class is roughly 370 around there, and they'll most likely be backfilled with a class around 470. So about 100 kids more at that high school, at Windsor High School. The one change I did make, and I'm only going to do it for this presentation, but our unduplicated percentage, we had mentioned that it doesn't take effect because it's a 3-year average. So we're at 56%. So for this one, I just wanted to point out that I put what that 3-year average is. So this next year, we're at 54.7%. We don't quite get to there because of that 3-year average, but we will be there next year, and you start to see the impacts of that on unrestricted next year. And then one thing that I always will look at is the consumer price index compared to the cost of living adjustment. Those are always interesting ones to compare. And right now, the cost of goods is higher than the cost of living adjustments that they're giving us, which always makes it difficult for everyone. All right, so this is the multi-year projection for just unrestricted. Just like all of our budgets, we have two budgets. We have an unrestricted and then we have a restricted. Restricted is grants only. Unrestricted is, I don't want to say money we can use for anything, but money we can use for anything legally within the education code requirements. So I'm not going to read the numbers to you, but you can see that excess line is obviously revenues minus expenses. And then that fund balance, we are above our 5% and our 3% in all 3 years, which is good. So we'd be certifying this budget as positive, not tonight at the actual June 22nd meeting. This is just a hearing tonight. This is combined. Bill likes to always on this slide bring up the fact of how much Windsor has grown. So you can imagine if that one-time grant of $4.3 million goes through, we reach over the 80 million mark, and that's without Cali. If you throw Cali in there, and food service, we're over 100 million, which is pretty cool. That little town of Windsor is over $100 million school district budget. And this is combined. So you see reserve for economic uncertainty up top. This is our fund balance. Because when the state does very well, I'm actually required to go over the fund balance. It's excess fund balance is what it's called. So this is, I have this slide in here every time. But this is also a requirement this year. And then for Cali, so at the last meeting, I was asked, would we be able to break out Cali? Because we've always showed Cali together. And I said, yes, I can figure that out. I can break that out. So I did for this one. And you can see, I think I mentioned Cali for the most part is very balanced. And what's nice about Cali and what makes part of the reason that makes them very balanced is their enrollment. You know, they accept a certain amount of students every year. So it makes it very easy to project and to staff for. So, you know, their budget's going to be very, it's not going to get out of control. That might bite me saying that now in the future, but. And then the road ahead. So this is a brand new slide. So we're at budget adoption now. The state at some point in the next week or so will adopt the budget. We'll know what's been approved, what hasn't been. And then we will come back in September for unaudited actuals for last year. And then December is the first time that we look back on this budget and make our revisions. We'll know what staffing is. We'll know what enrollment is. We'll know how attendance is tracking. And I've always felt, and I know Jeremy's felt it because he's come to me with it before, from June to December is a long 6 months of not really seeing updates to the budget. Because you see the actuals for the prior year, but you don't get an update on the budget. But we'll be tracking enrollment and staffing because we know that those are the two driving factors. Is there any questions from any of you? And then this is a hearing.
I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to say anything?
I'm here. I would just.
All I need you to do is just Tell us your name. Oh, that's okay.
I'm Trish Donahoe. I'm a parent. I have a son graduating Saturday. I have a son who is going to be a senior.
He's about to come in. There you go.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, sort of related to this, I asked Austin to.
Can you look and make sure that it's not?
Sorry. I asked Austin to provide me with the financials through the second audited and the multi-year. He was very kind, very quickly sent that to me. It was very interesting to read through how the district is doing, the pulling from the reserves, very interesting to look at. Unfortunately, the one today, the attachment in the budget in the board deck doesn't open. So I wasn't able to look at that, or I wasn't able to open it. So perhaps you could be kind enough to send that to me again so I could look at it before the next board meeting. But it's very interesting information and appreciate you sharing.
It's not opening for me either.
Okay, yeah, so that would be great.
Interesting. I wonder why. It did before.
Yeah.
Thank you. So anybody that's at home listening, we will make sure that, can we make sure that that gets posted on the website?
Yeah, and when we checked it, Rich, when we sat down, it opened.
Yeah, I know, that's why I was going to say, because somewhere between our meeting and then we had a glitch or something. So.
It's very odd. Here's what it says.
It's policy.
It was deleted. It's no longer available.
It's not a policy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think you know who I am. I want to talk about those 14 weeks and the funding for those 14 weeks. It is a huge step in California to elevate the teaching profession to more of a profession than what has traditionally been considered the second income or the vacation money for a family. We have so many young teachers in our district that are foregoing or having smaller families than they wanted to. But I think what the most important thing is that money isn't going to necessarily be for replacing the teacher's salary and paying it. It is to pay the differential for the sub, which is actually not very much money. And we get to do whatever we want with the rest. We get to do whatever we want with the rest, and that's exciting.
Any other comments? All right, bringing it back to the board. Any discussion with the board? Thank you, Austin.
See this
was good. Yeah, so, all righty, moving on. What's that? I'd like to close this public hearing. And now we're going to move on to 5.7. Consideration of Resolution 2026-30, adoption of the Weather Safety and Adoption Exhibit SP 1248. Brian? Let me see this thing right here. Sorry.
Pete and Heather actually did all the work on this one. So as part of the California School Board Association's recommended updates, this was included. And then Pete and Heather actually did some research to create the exhibit. And so what we're asking tonight is to consider the resolution to pass this exhibit, which is based off of Joshua's Law for Extreme Weather Safety Compliance Template.
I make a motion that we approve this resolution.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion from anyone in the audience? Seeing none, Jen, could you call?
Rich Carnation?
Yes.
Bill Adams?
Yes.
Stephanie Ahmad?
Yes.
Malinali Lopez?
Yes.
Paul Cagorno?
Yes.
Rebecca Herman?
Yes.
Ready. Thank you, Brian. Alrighty. Can you pass it, please? Alrighty, that was 5.7. Moving to 5.8. Consideration of approval of Board Policy 5131.8, mobile communication device. This will be presented by Superintendent Decker.
There's not much to present. We presented kind of all the different aspects last time. There weren't changes that you asked to be made. I hadn't gotten this from Sheila beforehand, so I haven't had a chance to really discuss them. I did try to read through while we were sitting here. I think that we can work together, Sheila. I think I don't know if the board policy would necessarily change. I think it's really how we implement the policy that might change. So ultimately, you guys can ask for us to wait if you'd like, but I don't anticipate that we would really modify what you would be approving so much as it's working with our partners. So again, I'm open to whatever we want to do.
Just two things real quick. I see Bill over here in the comment. One thing, somebody made a comment, I'll remember it, about parental whatever, right? I'll be honest with you, I'm blown away. We've had meeting after meeting after meeting advertised all over, and I thought there would be a higher level of feedback, and there's been really very, very little. Surprisingly little. I did, like I said, I had my grandson send me a thing and said, ask questions why. So Sheila, you might not have been there because when you had your other duties going on, but some of the things that you brought up in your questions, those things were talked about. And one of the things that we mentioned was that we've put together what we think is our best to go forward, knowing that there's going to be things that we didn't think of, that other people didn't think of, that we might have to make some modifications or refine the understanding of certain things along the way. And I think that's all our expectations, is that Jeremy might be coming back to us and saying, hey, this is going on, we didn't think about this, or this is going on, this is becoming an issue, we need to modify something or change of focus or do some things. And so all I know is we've had presentation over presentation that says, if you implement this policy, students' focus and their test scores improve greatly. So I sold out. I'm going with that right there. So, but anyhow.
I was just going to add to that point that I think at least I can speak for myself, that we were definitely, and I'll say we, because I think others were thinking the same thing. We were thinking about how can we make this like a practical solution that's not going to just create a bunch of work, or like where we adopt this specific thing and then have to do all these things. So I think we were really trying to be mindful of like, what can we actually implement and not commit a ton of staff resources just to managing this day over day. So that's really, I think, where we tried to land, and definitely keep us posted if this does get approved tonight on once it's being implemented, if you notice anything that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, so I think we have a deadline of July 1 by state law to enact a policy. I would suggest that we do so tonight. One of the places we're enacting a policy for the first instance, and every board policy of any substance has an administrative regulation that goes along with it. And I think some of these issues you've raised, and thank you for this, I think we can integrate those. For example, I look at, a waiver of liability for the district. To my mind, for my day job as a lawyer, that would include every employee who's acting in the scope of his or her assignment. Mm-hmm. But specifically, spelling that out, I don't know what other similar policies that have an enforcement component say in the administrative regulation. So I'd ask perhaps that, we work on this in the next few weeks, and certainly before school starts, to maybe clarify that and use that administrative regulation tool to build the operational piece of some of the things that you talk about, the practical implications at the school sites. So thank you.
And I think we have a lot to learn. Honestly, I think there's going to be a ton of things we don't think of. And so we're going to need to probably revisit this. And so I'd love to start and figure out what we don't know. And then I think maybe what you brought up, Sheila, will probably become topics of conversation, and we could talk at ERC as well throughout, and know that we're committed to being good partners. And if something does come up that's not working well, I think let's talk it through. And if we need to, let's bring it back here to modify the policy.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve 5.8, understanding there's going to be some work down the road on this.
I think so. Yeah.
I'll second.
All righty. I'd like to open up to public comment. Sure.
I just want to say that with regard to policies, and I say this with all due respect to families who are watching and everyone here. Sometimes, we just don't have, what I've learned as someone who answers the phone to some upset families is they don't know there's a policy. Now, I realize you've stated there have been people showing up for these meetings, but those are our engaged parents, right? And so we have a lot of disengaged parents. And so they tend to sometimes be the ones they're calling. They're upset. I was reading the little grid about, the office will be making the phone calls home. I still, of course, I believe we can talk about all of this through our EERC. I have a very big gut feeling that this is going to be landing a lot in our realm. And to be honest with you, CSEA people don't want to be responsible for thousands of dollars of technology. So if there's a plan, and we can talk that through, where this technology sits, because this will be a culture shock. Phones are addictions. We know what addiction looks like. And I'm expecting it to be rough, but we're going to keep talking. So, and I appreciate you being open with that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Anybody else in the audience? Okay. A motion was made, and I made the motion. Stephanie seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All righty, now we're going to be moving on to 5.9. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5.9, updates, discussions regarding Windsor Creek. I will recuse myself and see myself out.
To be honest, there's not going to be a conversation. There's nothing, so you don't necessarily have to recuse yourself. There's nothing to report out.
So moving on to 6, routine information. Is there any information anybody wants to give us? It's routine.
Got a big meeting in 2 weeks.
Got a meeting in 2 weeks. For the
Bill, you made a
record.
recommendation earlier, and I'm not recalling what it was, but you wanted us to bring something. I just know that I wanted to check back in at this point.
It was on the, what's the name of the book?
Oh, the book website.
To modify
Yes.
that? Yeah,
Yes.
Maybe look at that.
Okay.
Could you email us, Jeremy, the name of it so we just do a little research?
Yes, and I've only done a small amount of research as well. It doesn't have a lot of the synopsis that Common Sense has, but it
My only
definitely has
thought
some
was
things.
that was the criteria that was used to kind of push it in so that we could do kind of a policy light, right? Because we had a third party thing.
I think it was a synopsis of the other one.
Right.
That kind of helped so people could do it, but anyhow.
Are we at adjournment? I had a motion to make about adjourning, if we might.
About adjournment? Oh.
Yeah. Mr. President, we had a death in our family.
Yes, we did.
Last Wednesday, Mary Ann Parrish, one of our instructional assistants in second grade at Mattie Washburn, which is the community knows about, was in the newspaper, was killed in an auto accident. I asked that we adjourn in her memory.
Absolutely. All right. And with that, we'll adjourn for the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Paul, that'd be like a double patty at Machado's. It's like.
Yeah. I know you.
There you go.